Hi, thanks for joining us and welcome to the AMEXPAT Platinum Journey. I'm one of your hosts, Terry Stevenson,
I'm the other host, Lateefah Stevenson.
and we're excited to have you join us on this journey into information and topics that will be useful for not only retirees, soon to be retirees, and digital nomads. This is our first episode, so what I really wanted to do is start this off with explaining a little bit about myself, have T explain a little bit about herself, where we came from to arrive at this point, and then really try to get into just a touch on the larger topics that drove us to
Mhm,
starting this journey, doing the research,
mhm.
doing the analysis, and coming to find our best life, which we found in Panama City, Panama,
Yes, we did.
and we're excited to continue that journey and share that journey with you along the way. So for me, look, I'm a kid from Detroit, in the east side of Detroit. My mother was a teacher and then a FBI agent. Not something that you generally hear back then when she joined in 1983. From Michigan, I moved around a lot. I lived in Connecticut, in our first field office in the DC area, in Greenbelt, Maryland, then joining the Air Force. I spent almost 7 years in the
Mhm.
Air Force. I started my public service journey in law enforcement. I joined York County Sheriff's Office and then Newport News Police Department, Newport News, Virginia, rose to the ranks of major crimes detective. And then 9/11 happened.
Mm.
And I joined the Department of Homeland Security and was with them for about 22 years before retiring in 2023. I am kind of a weird dynamic. I'm an only child, but I had two brothers and two sisters, all four, which are primarily at Detroit, but one family my brother moved to Cincinnati where he is thriving with his
Yes, he
family.
is.
Traveled around a lot, and that really takes me to the point at which, particularly in Newport News, when I spent a lot of my adult life in Hampton Roads,
Mhm.
came to meet T, and that kind of gives you a bit of a dynamic in terms of where I'm coming from. I want to offset that against T's experience, and so with that, I will introduce my wife and co-host, Lateefah Stevenson, or T as we call her.
Hello, everyone. It is a pleasure to finally meet you and be here to talk about our experience with Panama and the research we did prior to making the decision to relocate to Panama. A little bit about myself. I am from Portsmouth, Virginia, very small town. I actually met my husband, Terry, on one of where property I was working on at the time while he was but I currently work in property management. I've been doing that for about 30 years. And that's how Terry and I met because he was called out to a crime at one of my communities. Yeah. And so that's how we met. I currently work in property management. I've been doing that for over 30 years now. Once upon a time, I used to work in the medical field for about 7 years. I got out of that field for one very important fact that I should have known getting into it. I was scared of dead people, and I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because I could not shake that fear, I decided to end it. If I could not shake that fear, I could not take care of my patients 100% like I needed to. So with that, I just kinda waved goodbye to that career and stuck in property management. I'm also a licensed realtor and a independent travel agent. I have a brother. I have a couple of brothers and a sister, but mostly from my mom is my brother, myself, the oldest. So how did we arrive to do the research on Panama?
Mhm.
I think you was thinking about it before you brought it to me, because in the manner in which you brought it to me, and I'll let you elaborate on that a little bit. But he brought it to me, and I think I shocked him with my answer, to say the
Yeah.
least, because I guess he was assuming that I would give him put up a fight. Now, I have a big family. I come from a big family. Terry don't. And my family is pretty much in the Virginia area. And again, like I was saying, I think you felt that I was going to give you a fight because I'm leaving everything and everybody I know. It was a positive thing. So when he brought it to me and was pointing out some facts, and I was listening to him, and very one important part of it, my husband have never talked about leaving out of the country. So it kind of shocked me when he brought it up about leaving. I'm like, where is this coming from? But if he was bringing it to me, it was very important to him. So I listened to what he had to say. And I was like, okay, that's as needed. I understand. We took it from there and we're here now.
For those of you who are also married to 5-foot gangsters, as I refer to them, being you two, probably being 6 feet or better, have looked into the eyes of someone that should be on a step stool and was just constantly berating you about
All
why would you
righty.
even come up with that decision? So it's very, very surprising that she jumped on board. But then when you kind of understand the dynamics and how we operate, it probably made sense. We'll get to one important feature that I close with. I didn't even know I was closing with it, but we'll discuss that later. The research, right? How do we get here? I mentioned before, I retired in 2023. And for the first 6 months, I did what everybody tells you should do, which is nothing. I was very good at it for a while. I didn't, I got up when I wanted to, went to bed when I wanted to, and I was very, very happy. She left out and, getting my coffee going and giving her the coffee cup salute as she walked out the door, saying, "Hey, I hope today is really good for you." And she would give me such loving responses back.
As y'all can imagine.
So we go there, right? And for about 6 months, that works. And then all of a sudden, you wake up one day, which is what friends and family and colleagues told me. You'll look up and go, okay, there should probably be more to
More.
this. Maybe there should be more that I should be
Right.
doing. And so I wanted to still be in public service, but I did not want the stress that was associated with the jobs that I had before. So I went to DeKalb County here in Metro Atlanta where we live, and I became a
Mhm.
public notary, and that was excellent. I met a lot of great friends, a lot of great institutions, a lot of great people. But then I got to a point where I decided that I wanted to do a little bit more for the community. So I got into estate planning, which is very important. If you and your family, regardless of what your vision for your best life is, it has got to include some structure and some planning to make sure that you're not giving away unneeded resources or inheritance to government. There's plenty of places you may want to give it to, but I'm sure giving it back to the government is
It's
not
not
one of
one
them.
of them.
So if you're looking at retirement or soon to be, if you're a digital nomad, I highly encourage you to look into what it takes to create a revocable trust for you and your family. It's really going to be useful. I digress. I did estate planning for a while, and then I really got into apostille work.
Mhm.
I had a mentor in Texas that pushed me into it. And for those that don't know, apostille work is, some people call it apostille work. It's the preparation of documents for use in another country. That could be
Mhm.
so you could get married, it could be so you can conduct business, it could be so you can relocate, it could be for whatever, go to school.
Mhm.
But it's preparing of the documents that originated in one country for use in another country. And that caused me to really start looking at Panama and several other countries, Italy, Colombia, Spain, Portugal.
Italy was my number one though. In the beginning, it was.
I thought I was gonna have to rendition her out of Italy during her first trip. Italy is my number one country, and when we got there, within seconds, it was like, "Yeah, it's not yours anymore. It's her number one country, and I
Mhm.
just happened to be supporting her." But for a lot of reasons, we kind of went through this research, and we got down to about 3 of them. One of them, I think, was, in fact, Italy, and then the other 2 were the Colombia and
Mhm.
Panama.
Yeah.
Looked at the Dominican Republic, beautiful area. I think it's someplace that we could probably wind up spending a lot of time at, but being kind of home based out of there, I'm not a fan of islands where storms can hit, especially with
Mhm.
this climate change that's going on. And one of the things that I was really happy about with Panama was in the entire recorded history of weather, which is over 100 years, Panama's had 18 major storms. That tells you that this country is not looking at consistent challenges or trauma from
Right.
weather events, which was also very important. When we finally got to narrowing it down to the top three, Panama really presented a lot of better options for us. And that's important. When you're planning your vision, it's about what makes your best life. It's not about somebody else's. It's not about planning for visitors. About 25% of them actually show up. The other 75% is just talk about, hey, let's make
Yeah.
plans, and the plans never materialize. So make your vision about you.
Yes.
When we got down to Panama, there were so many things about it. The fact that it was modern, but yet it had these old town
Yeah.
neighborhoods. The fact that the healthcare was some of the best in the world, that they had affiliates from Johns Hopkins. The fact that they don't tax US income. The fact that you can really walk the entire city without the use of vehicles, right? Which that's a great feature. But more importantly, anything that we want to do in terms of our lifestyle, in terms of being active, being involved in the community, being immersed in a community, a urban environment, but it was one that felt comfortable, right? It,
Right.
it wasn't the busyness of New York City or
It was
Philadelphia.
calm. It was a calmness about it and just friendliness, just peace. That is probably the best way that my experience from it, I can describe it. So,
Spot on. Spot on. One of the things to that point of peace, there were times when we figured out something was happening that didn't normally happen, and that just endeared us even more to the
right.
city.
Hmm.
For me, I've been public safety and security and law enforcement now for 35 years. And a city of millions,
Hmm.
we were there for a week. I saw one police car running code. And that one squad car was actually escorting an ambulance.
Yeah.
It wasn't
For
they were
no
trying to get
crime.
to a scene or
Right.
something,
Yeah, exactly.
which I thought was incredible for a whole week. I mean, picture yourself in New York City and never seeing a squad car
A whole week
kind
that
of
you're
event.
there, that's like unheard of,
Yeah.
um, why you wouldn't hear it on someone on a regular basis. We did not in Panama, just that once, and that was just for an
There's a tension that I think we just inherently have absorbed from
mhm.
being in the United States. Worrying about is an engagement at Walmart or Target going to turn into some kind of the next
Accident,
car that pulls up
right.
next to you going to roll down the window when it's on, right? Is there a sense that every engagement with customer service, if there's any pushback whatsoever, it requires getting
Immediate,
on it, like pushing back hard. That didn't happen. That's not how it works in Panama, right? In Panama, people are very friendly, very calm, very welcoming.
yeah,
They assist you if you're making any attempts to
yeah.
immerse yourself using Spanish, which I can tell you for a week, we were probably hitting at about 15% accuracy.
If that
There were moments where I busted out laughing because something simple as somebody was bringing something to her, and in her mind, she was working through gracias and donata and
and
somehow screwed it up. When they would bring her something, she would say donata, and when she was asking for something, it was
it
always
was
vice
just
versa, right?
yeah, and I'm just trying to keep it together, but it was so funny. I laughed at myself because
It was absolutely look, but the thing that made it, I think, so welcoming was they laughed with it. They
yes,
understood that there was effort being made, a
yeah,
genuine effort, and they were like, "Hey, don't worry about it. We got you." They
yeah,
would give her little pointers. You say this instead of this.
Yeah.
And then you start listening, and because you're so comfortable, you start listening to how people respond to you. You try to say it formally, and you go, "Oh, I just need to say this, not this."
Right. Yes.
So that was one piece of it. Here's the other piece, and I gotta really push on this, guys. This is a woman that I've explained to family members, and they agree with me. If she is ever kidnapped, and we are relying on her to give any kind of commentary on where she is or where she could be, we've lost her. It's not going to happen. Her sense of direction is horrible. We could
Yes,
go the
it is.
same route 100 times,
The same
and
outcome.
I'll say, "Hey, you know where you're at?"
Not yet.
No, it's not.
I have no
Right.
sense of direction. None.
And we're
0.
7 years in, fellas. So in Atlanta, 3 days into our exploration of Panama City, I'm looking at my phone because I am the navigator. I'm designated.
Always.
And I'm looking like, okay, well, this street's here and that's there. I think we need to go this way. 30 seconds earlier than me coming to the decision, she has looked up, saw a marker in the sky, be it the Pandora building or this building or that building, that says, "Oh no, it's over here, so we need to go that way." I do the math on it by checking it on the phone, and she's right. That was the selling point for me that I can't begin to describe to you, because now I have at least hope that I will be able a little bit and let her kind of go places and do things and not worry about where she's at or if she knows where she's at.
I had told him the only way this is going to work is that you going to be joined to my hip. I'm not going nowhere without you. You're not going nowhere without me. Because yes, my Spanish is horrible and my sense of direction is horrible. But in Panama, it was the trying to find the different places was pretty easy.
It really was.
Now, for someone who does not have a sense of direction and can find my way around Panama, that should tell you something.
Absolutely. So one of the other things that I found that was, and I touched on it, but I really want to kind of reemphasize it because there's another point that came up with this. We have been given this impression, society, from society at large, I guess, that healthcare in the United States is the only healthcare that's really any good, or that going to other countries, you will see this deterioration in the quality of health.
And it's not.
Not so. We experienced that firsthand in a number of ways. First of all, I did the research and started looking at private health insurance. Private health insurance is about $400 or $500 a month. That may seem like a lot. That may not seem like a lot, especially considering the current situations that some families are experiencing throughout the nation with the concerns over the ACA and things like that. I can tell you, as a federal retiree with excellent benefits, that having a health insurance plan for $500 that covers you in your city, as well as if you decide, say Panama as an example, but also when you go to Colombia, also when you go to the DR, and also when you go to Jamaica, that's not something that generally happens in reverse. Right now, there's these huge co-pays. There's this, that, and the third.
Yes.
Next thing you know, it's enormous. I say that to say this. When we were there, about day 2, we get on the Centera Costera. Still probably not saying that right. I will refer to it as the strip from here on. The walkway along the waterfront that is absolutely stunning.
Yes.
What is more stunning about it is along its way are these parks and stuff that remind you almost of New York, where you had the kids playing basketball, playing other sports with a handball or whatever the case may be. The kids are out there playing in the basketball court, tennis, volleyball. There are actual public machines set up for exercise. This is like a 4 or 5, maybe even 6-mile corridor. And then on the other side of the major roadway from this park area are casinos and hotels and shopping establishments, the whole 9 yards. It's hot. I have to tell you that Panama City is hot. I don't care whether you go to rainy season or dry season, it's hot.
Yeah, the humidity is.
Humidity, if you're not used to being on the equator or nearby, it's going to hit you different.
Definitely.
About 2 hours into it, us walking and enjoying life, and we would sat down a couple times.
I was a
I
few days into it.
it's like they took and I heard this, which for me, after you've been married for any length of time, you start to read certain and so I finally paid attention, looked at her, and I realized we had been outside walking for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. She had stopped sweating really bad. She was like bone dry, but she was trying to be a trooper. So we got her inside, sat her down. It was in a mall, and I said, "Hey, we'll get you something to eat. We'll get you some more, whatever. We need to really look at maybe getting you an IV." We were thinking the wellness centers for IV. Get her some water, get her some liquids, get her food, get her laid down. She sleeps like a baby. Didn't even notice what happens that night. The next morning, we get and we have the guided tour with
Mhm.
Miguel. We mentioned the fact that she's a little dehydrated. Thank God we're in the car that day. And Miguel says, "Hey, yeah, if you go to Wellness Center, go, but just go to one of these, what I call doc in the boxes.
Mhm.
What they are is like really mini hospitals about
Right.
every 4 or 5 blocks and get it done there." And I knew T had heard it, but didn't really understand what he was talking about. I understood what he was talking about. And I was like, that's a really raw way to test this whole healthcare system, but let's go. So the next day,
We went to the gym first.
as if there's anything she should do dehydrated, we went to the gym first, which further expounded on
Estimated
where
the
she
the
was feeling in
situation.
terms of the symptoms. Then we go to the doc in the box, and the doc in the box says they pay $23 just to be seen by the doctor.
Mhm.
This is where I really want you to understand because I'm used to healthcare overseas. I've been in the military, I've been
Mhm.
everywhere. I think it's important for you to tell it from your perspective, having seen only US health
Right.
services. So tell
Yeah.
about what happened.
We get there and paid $23 to join the benefit triage assessment. A few minutes passed and I was called in to see the doctor. The doctor asked me, what kind of symptoms was I having, what was wrong. And I, basically tell it, I think I'm dehydrated and my lower back was hurting, a little nausea and stuff like that. And they gave me 1,000 milliliters IV with pain medication in it. So with both of those, I only paid $50 just for that, for the IV and pain medication. Now, I think if we was here back in the state, that would have been anywhere from between 250 to maybe $600 going to an outpatient.
Right, with no insurances or anything offered at all. We didn't
Correct.
offer any of our
Yeah,
US
I didn't
insurance
use
policies.
any insurance. It was straight out of pocket. And like Terry said, we didn't want to use it that way, but to find out about
The
the
services and and
services
and,
there.
and the
And
quality, yeah.
right, and also speaking on services, their bedside manners was top notch. I was there for what, 40 minutes while the IV was dropping, and the entire time they will always come in and check on me, asking me, did I need anything? Was I okay? Gave me blankets, gave me a pillow, and a recliner. It was just, like a little section room with a couple of recliners in there. And yeah, it was the doctor. Was it just because, we have, the RN kind of come in
Yeah.
or the CNA kind of come in and pop on you and ask you how you doing. This was actually doctor that came in was asking me how was I doing. So
Yeah.
I think that that was above what I have been used to here in the States. The doctor won't come in until once everything all tested
Yeah,
and
see them for about 5 minutes, right?
right
About 90 seconds on the front end and then about 30 or 45
at the
seconds.
back end just to tell you the symptoms. But she continued to check on me the entire time. For me, that's everything because, when you're sick and you're not feeling well, the last thing you want is somebody to be, kind of not
Standoffish,
nice. Yeah, standoffish. It's not
inattentive.
warm and welcoming. To me, that's everything. And if you care enough to take the time to ask me, and of course you already know I'm not feeling well, but you're still asking and if I needed anything, that goes a long way for me.
And it's look, we're foreigners, right? We know very little English, but trying to do the right thing. You can't give enough credit to genuine intention. I'm not here to cause you any trouble. You provide a service. I'm not from here. I know it's a little bit of an inconvenience for you to try
Right.
to try to try to diagnose
Right.
somebody
That
using
has
English, right?
right.
but they got it done, and they got it done with the level of care and compassion that rivals had in the US, and in some instances far exceeds it.
Right.
The expectations that we have here sometimes. The last thing I really want to touch on before we close out this episode of the podcast is, I touched on security and I touched on peace, and those are all great things. Look, the fact of the matter is, whether it was 10:30 at night, whether it was 6 o'clock in the morning, we felt comfortable
Mhm.
in every spot in the city that we were standing in. We were in the middle of the night in the middle of a neighborhood in San Francisco,
Mhm.
just come out of a pastry shop,
Yeah.
and we were just walking aimlessly. We passed some cops on foot patrol,
Mhm.
passed some cops on motorbikes, that when they partner up, sometimes in the car, sometimes in the bikes.
Mhm.
And what we literally, there was never a moment where we were like, let's get out of here. This
Mm.
doesn't seem right.
Never.
There were neighborhoods that we went in that were really, that it was obvious this was not expat communities, we were Panamanian
Mhm.
communities. And there was no sense that, hey, look, you better keep moving.
Right. It
Right,
was
right.
not. Never that.
I am originally from Detroit, but I have lived close to New York, Philadelphia, DC, Dallas, Houston, and
Mhm.
Atlanta. I didn't find that level of comfort where there was no worry. Matter of fact, there were moments where I understood, hey, look, I'm not in law enforcement anymore. I don't have a gun, and I feel very, very safe.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
saying something.
Yeah.
And I can feel like I could still, like, I'll be very, very kind of keep you safe. Everybody
Mhm.
was safe. So all this kind of adds up to this kind of feeling that before we even left to get back on a plane to Atlanta, first of all, we didn't feel like we were even on vacation.
No,
We
it did
felt like
not.
we
We was
were,
home. We was just home.
yeah, like we were visiting home,
Home.
and now we were coming back to some place,
Right.
and that's saying something for somebody who has moved 31 times in 35 years. And for someone who,
Yeah.
prior to us being married, had not moved ever out
No.
of that immediate vicinity. It was a very comforting kind of feel. That caused us to really understand that everything we had learned and done in terms of research for Revision of Panama was validated. The other thing that it allowed us to do was get confident in our approach, because now we had seen not only the area, the environment, the lifestyle, that was already in
Mhm.
place there, but we could see how our vision for our best life would seamlessly
Align
overlay
with.
into that.
Yeah.
That was really our comfort level right there.
Mhm.
We're inviting you to join us on this journey as we continue the process of transitioning from Metro Atlanta to Panama City, Panama. In next episodes, we'll talk about, some more in depth about some of the insights that we
Yes.
had while we were in Panama City, but we'll
Yes.
also talk about some of these other countries that we found during our research and during our exploration that we found were
Yes.
captivating and definitely options.
Yes.
We're going to give you insight into these discussions. Some of them weren't pretty. Like, how does our vision push us to change our habits
Right.
in order to really kind of align with the
For
lifestyle
our
environment?
best platinum.
Well, for that platinum life,
Right.
right? There was a point where we knew all the things that we wanted to do with life, and there was no way that we were going to be able to do them in an effective manner, the optimal manner, living in a metro Atlanta suburban community, having to drive 2 hours everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's just one aspect of it. You'll get insights into all of those discussion points and things that we really kind of worked hard to reconcile as we approach the decision point of moving to Panama City.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I hope you found some of this useful. I hope you found some of this entertaining.
Yes.
As time goes on, eventually I will learn more Spanish. I may mix a little bit in. Right now, all of the Spanish that I know, you will find boring at best and highly incorrect at worst for those my friends and family who are Spanish. But that's it for now. Look, again, our first episode, we're learning this
Yes.
as we go along. And we thank you for joining us, and we look forward to you joining us on this journey. If you have friends or colleagues or other retirees or digital nomads who you think this kind of discussion, this kind of information would be useful for them, we encourage you to share it with them and for
Yes.
them to join us as well. AMEXPAT Platinum broadcasts on YouTube as well as on our social media at Best Life Blueprint, AMEXPAT Platinum, as
Glad.
well as we're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok.
Yeah.
We're doing a website, which will be up shortly, that will align itself to all of the ways that we can support your journey as we are supporting ours in our transition to Panama City.
Thank you.
I hope you had fun. My name is Terry Stevenson,
And I'm Lateefah Stevenson.
and thanks for joining us on the Platinum Journey.
We'll see you next time. Have a good one.